Just look how soft and airy this pastry is. The preparation is very simple and it stays soft even the next day. I start preparing this pastry by crumbling 30 grams of fresh yeast into a smaller bowl, or by adding 8 grams of dry yeast. I add 1 tablespoon of sugar and 1 tablespoon of flour. Then I pour in 200 milliliters of warm milk. I stir it well and leave it for about 10 minutes so the yeast can activate. I measure out 800 grams of all-purpose flour and place it in a mixing bowl. I add 1 heaping tablespoon of salt and give it a stir. Then I add 1 whole egg, 50 milliliters of oil, 250 milliliters of lukewarm water, and the activated yeast. I gently mix everything with a wooden spoon to combine the wet and dry ingredients. If it's easier, you can do all this by hand. Or if you have a mixer, combine all the ingredients in it. This dough is quite soft, so it doesn't really need to be kneaded by hand at this stage. It's enough to bring it together with a spoon. Then pour over 20 to 30 milliliters of oil. Dip your hands a little so the dough doesn't stick immediately. Turn it over and knead the dough a bit. When the dough starts sticking to your hands again, pat it down slightly, cover it with a cloth, and leave it for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, I place the dough on the work surface. I dust it lightly with flour and knead it a bit more. The dough should look like this in the end, nice and soft. I take the bowl the dough was in, sprinkle a bit of flour inside, sprinkle a bit more flour on top, and leave it to rest for 30 to 60 minutes. In a warm room, the dough will rise quickly. Then I place it on the work surface again and knead it slightly. Not too much. I round the dough, then divide it into 12 pieces. I take each piece of dough and shape it into a ball. If one piece is smaller, add a bit from a larger one and shape again. I take a tray, pour a little oil, and spread it evenly with a brush. Place them like this. 3 dough balls in one row, then 3 in the next. And then slightly flatten each with your hand. Here I have 100 grams of softened butter. And now I'll brush each of these dough balls with it. Once I brush the first 6 with butter, I take the remaining 6, flatten each, and place it over the first one. Second over the second, and so on. I press them gently with my hand and brush with butter again. I always spread it evenly first, then use any extra to fill in gaps. What's left in the bowl I won't wash off, I'll save it for the end. Once the pastry is baked, I'll brush it with this leftover butter. So don't throw this part away. It's like when the recipe says you need 70 grams of chocolate, I have 100, so 30 remain. And at the end it says grate 30 grams of leftover chocolate. Well, I don't have any left, I ate it. So don't wash the bowl, keep it. When that's done, cover it with a plastic bag and press it lightly to seal. Then cover with a cloth and leave for 5 minutes while we make the filling. For the filling, I'll use 200 grams of cottage cheese and add 100 grams of smoked sausage. You can add whatever you have. Just gather what's left in the fridge. I'm also adding 120 grams of Gouda, but you can use any semi-hard cheese. Add salt if it's not already salty. And I'll add 2 to 3 tablespoons of sour cream to bring everything together nicely. Instead of fresh cheese, you can also use any firm, grainy, aged or fatty cheese. You can even use feta. After about 10 minutes, just enough time to prepare the filling, we take the dough and press and stretch it by hand. The dough is very soft and easy to handle, so it stretches effortlessly. You can also turn it around to make sure it's stretched evenly. If you're using a baking tray like mine, stretch it to that width. Everything should look roughly like this. Why do I say roughly? Because with dough, almost nothing needs to be perfectly precise. It can all be approximate, especially when working with this kind of yeast dough. I spread 1/6 of the filling and roll it up. When rolling, you can either roll it all the way or cut small slits along the edge like this. Take the baking pan and transfer the first roll. Then repeat the rolling process. The top layer will always stretch more than the bottom one. So we need to turn the dough to make it even. It's easy to turn and stretch, so don't worry that it might tear or refuse to stretch properly. Now I add the filling and again make small cuts before rolling. Once rolled, I transfer it to the pan again. Leave a little space in between so it can rise properly. Adjust everything gently by hand before leaving it to rise. You can reuse that same plastic wrap, cover it with a cloth and let it rise for about 30 minutes. Once the pastry has rested and risen nicely, beat 1 egg and brush it on top. After brushing, you can sprinkle seeds of your choice. And this combination, I'm using sesame seeds on every other one and the chia seeds. I'll finish it off with a little coarse sea salt. Once that's done, I preheat the oven to 200 degrees Celsius and bake. The pastry is baked. Baking time is 30 minutes. As soon as you take it out of the oven, brush it with melted butter. And just to show you the final result, look how soft this pastry is. My kids are coming home from school, so I'll show you. They'll have it with some vegetables to make their meal more balanced.